Hello and welcome everyone to the From Both Sides podcast. Today I want to welcome again Paulina to the podcast. Welcome, Paulina.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm here again.
Welcome back. Yeah, today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. It will be about love, culture, and tradition, and about dating in general, how it gets affected by these things. How much is love affected by our choice, and how much is love affected by our culture, our society, what our parents want, what our religion tells us. That's what we want to get into today. We will try our best to cover everything, but I think this is a very big topic. We might even need more than one episode here. But yeah, let's get started. So of course, as usual, we get started with the icebreaker. That's our first segment. We called this one "Blame Your Parents." So let's see about some questions and some fun things to talk about. So I'll ask you a question, and then you give me your opinion. Maybe we bounce back some ideas. So first one, have you ever hidden a relationship from your family?
It wasn't really necessary. I mean, if I had some real serious relationship when I was younger, I don't know, maybe before I turned 18 or even at 18 or 20, maybe I would. I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I wouldn't hide anything from my mom. That's because we have close relationship, but also because she doesn't react crazily at everything. Like she acts normal. Whatever I say, whatever I do, she even if she doesn't like everything, like she's usually calm. Yeah, but when it comes to my dad, if I had some serious relationship earlier when I was younger, maybe I would hide it. I'm not sure. Like maybe not like hide it.
But
I mean, I just wouldn't
you have
tell
never
him.
done it.
Yeah,
You have
it
never done
wasn't
this.
necessary. Like my mom knew about everyone I ever talked to just because it's really obvious and it's easy to tell when I'm talking to someone because she knows me well. Yeah,
Yeah,
but as for my dad, I think I wouldn't
you're on your
say
phone the whole
anything.
time.
Yeah, something like that. It's written on my face. That's what she says. Yeah, but I think if I have something serious, actually, I don't know how I will tell my dad. Probably my mom just will tell him, and that's it.
Speaking of telling your parents, would you date someone that your parents don't approve of?
Well, I've been thinking about it because I think why this question was really interesting because it's hard to imagine a person, a man, my mom wouldn't approve of because
Wow. Okay.
yeah, she's waiting for me to get married so much that I think that she'll approve anyone
She
except
has
for
low standards.
yeah, yeah. I was laughing about it and I was talking to her like I said like I'm sure that you would approve anyone, and she said like why are you saying that? I said like because I think the only person you wouldn't approve is like I don't know a drug addict, an alcoholic, something like that. And on the other hand, my dad he wouldn't approve anyone. Like that's it.
It's the
Not
opposite.
like approve. Yeah, okay. Approve is it's a bit too much. But let's say he wouldn't really love anyone. Let's
Yeah,
put
he
it like
doesn't want
that.
his
Yeah.
daughter to be dating any man.
Yeah, since I'm not that young, let's call it that, I think he would be okay with that, but wouldn't be like very, very happy as she would be.
I think you're still very young, but maybe not to Russian standards. Maybe something you will
Yeah, to
touch
Russian
upon.
standards, you know the saying. I love at it so much, and I was talking about it to my friend the other day. It says like, if you are not married before, yeah, before you're 30, don't worry, maybe you just missed your first divorce.
I think this is quite common there, so that's good. It's good to avoid it.
Yeah.
So speaking of Russia, maybe one tradition from your country that you'd never give up.
Mm, it's hard to say that I wouldn't give up that, but when I'm getting older, I well, before when I was younger, I thought that traditions they don't matter, they're not important. And especially if you move to another country, you don't have to take them with you and take them to a new place and to a new life. But now I think it's really important to have some traditions. Of course, some of them they're not like traditions that are typical for Russia, but they're more like traditions of my family. Like, I don't know, gathering together, having meals together, something like that, visiting your grandparents.
Yeah,
No, I mean things like that. Yeah. They're more like family
that's
traditions.
quite common.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if it's typical Russian tradition, just being close to your family generally. I mean, yeah, maybe it's not common for everyone nowadays, but still it's very common among my friends, among people I know. And I don't know. Well, I can say that these are traditions, but things that make me laugh and they're really funny. That we have a lot of, I can't say that my family has a lot of Orthodox traditions. Of course, we celebrate Easter, we celebrate Christmas, things like that. Yeah, we do, of course. Like everyone else here, most of people here, I mean. But we also have a few traditions that come from, what do you call it? Pagans, yeah, because Russians
Hmm.
traditionally they were pagans. I mean, Slavic people, yeah, and we have a lot of things like that. I don't know. I don't remember if I told you about that before, like sitting down when you are going to travel somewhere far, things like that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so some funny traditions that
superstitions.
I,
Yeah,
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 superstitious,
superstitions.
yeah, and I can't say that we really believe in them, but these are like things that I don't know, they're just fun to
Yeah,
keep.
same. We have something about the umbrella as well, where you shouldn't open an umbrella inside the house because it brings bad luck or someone will die as well. So that's very something I never do. I never open an umbrella inside the house, always outside the house. And yeah, some people would look at me and be like, "What are you talking about? That's stupid." I know it's stupid, but it's a superstition, you know? There's nothing that doesn't make sense. Superstitions
Yeah,
don't make sense.
but
But
is it
yeah.
a superstition that's common in your country or in Germany?
Yeah. No, no, no,
I
in Lebanon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, in Germany they don't have this at all. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard about it. We don't have it, but I've heard about it from somewhere. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I didn't talk about this part, but maybe I should mention it. Yeah, I also haven't hidden a relationship from my family usually. I am open and I just tell them at the right time because, at the beginning, maybe it's not worth to tell about every date you've been to. And I would I date? I think my parents are also not the type to really interfere with my life. They maybe would let me know if they really don't like the person, but usually they don't interfere. So usually, who I choose is someone they are okay with.
Yeah, and also you live far
Yeah,
from them, so how
that's
would they
true.
not
I
like
live in a
anyone? Yeah.
different country. No, but
Yeah,
still, I think that's part of the topic we will touch on today
yeah, I
because
mean,
there's some stuff you cannot get rid of. You mentioned being close to your parents, even though they're far physically, you have to be close to them emotionally, right? And if your parents tell you, you know what, this person is not for you, okay, when you are really young, they can do that. When you are older, I don't think it really matters anymore. But still, in some culture, this is if your parents say no, then that person is off the limit.
yeah, but I think in your case, if they don't like the person, they may not like the person only because she's from a different, I don't know, country. She has a different religion, but that's like the only reason. But if you live close to each other, they can point out different things, maybe from
Yeah,
personality
true.
traits and things
If they
like
don't
that. Yeah.
understand that, if they cannot really speak too much to that person, they don't have a problem with their personality.
Yeah,
They
also the
just have
language. Yeah.
prejudice about. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, we don't know what's wrong with her because we cannot talk to her. She looks fine. It's okay.
Yeah, she's just smiling and looks friendly. That's it.
She eats everything we serve her, which is good. Food,
Yeah.
food is very important in my culture.
Yeah, and
What's one
I
tradition?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And have you ever had such situations when you needed to bring your person you're dating to your country, to your parents,
Yeah, 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 yeah. It has happened before. Yes, of course, and
or
it
they
went
were
well. To
usually
be honest.
visiting you?
No, no, no. It has happened that I have went with my girlfriend to. We went last year to Lebanon, and it went really well. And we're going again this year anyway. So yeah, it went well. To be honest, I like it because then I can be the guide and show them around and say, okay, this is how we do it. This is what I've been telling you about. This I've told you about this place and that place and whatever.
Yeah,
And
but
this is our
one
food,
more
and this
thing.
is how you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I also haven't thought about that before, but you also have to translate, yeah, everything.
Not everything. Everything. I think it really depends who are they talking to because I think also in Lebanon the level of like an average Lebanese speaks two or three languages, so the English would be fine there. But I mean, with my parents, they struggle a bit with the foreign languages, but they can, come out with a few words in English, so it can be okay. Like, yeah, a lengthy conversation about politics or about, I don't know, economy or the end of the world, maybe not. But yeah, I think I don't have to translate everything, but it's good. Like, it's
Yeah, I
okay. I
just
think in general, also the country is it's not one of those countries where they don't speak English at all. Like you go there and you're like, okay, now what?
Yeah, because primary in Russia, a common Russian person, they don't speak more than one language. Like, okay, my peers, they can speak English to some extent. They would understand you more or
Yeah,
less, but an older generation, they wouldn't. That's why I
they wouldn't.
thought
Yeah,
about that. Yeah. And also,
yeah,
it's funny, but I don't remember if it was from a person I know or it was from the internet. A woman said, like, I'm visiting my family. I think she lives in Italy now and she has an Italian husband. And she said like, that I like visiting my country, my parents with him, but I also like going there with our children alone because that way I can just have a rest and not translate everything to him because it gets annoying to
yeah,
at
yeah.
some point.
That also makes sense, and also I think that gives you a bit more freedom because when you are taking your partner to your country, you have to always be in tour guide mode. And you cannot, today I want to chill and stay home. No, you cannot do that because, they only have 2 weeks in this country. So you have to show them everything. You cannot sit down and just do nothing today because you want to sit down. When you go home to your parents, you can also just sit down with them for 2 hours or for a whole day and do nothing. So that's, yeah, you have a different type of experience as well, and you have more responsibilities when you take someone to your country. You have to be a tour guide and show them the best food and the best locations and go out every night, and
Yeah, and I think it
yeah,
sounds fun and exciting when you go there for the first time, like showing the places where you grew up. Yeah, but next time it won't be so exciting
next time it's
anymore.
like, oh yeah, I remember this. Okay, nice. Next.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Hey everyone, editor Johnny here. Before we continue, take a quick second to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps me and lets me keep making more content like this. Thank you so much. Cool. I think we broke the ice enough, but we have a mini game. The question is it tradition or is it toxic? So we start with this mini game and then we will jump into the main topic afterwards. So parents having a say in who you marry, is that toxic or is that tradition?
I think it's both. It can be both.
Toxic tradition.
It can be a toxic tradition, yeah, as you said, but also it depends on the society you live in. Also, I think.
But in your experience or in your own thing, do
In
you
my
want to have that
experience,
or not?
well, in my experience and in my family, it never happened. So I think in my experience, if it would happen, it would be just toxic. It's not our tradition and it's not
Yeah.
just what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, that way, yeah. But if I grew up in a very religious society, then I think it would be more of a tradition. Of course, that I can not follow, depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living close to your family after marriage. Let's say you live in the same country.
Yeah, like living moving closer
Geographically
to them
close.
after marriage, or you live where you live and they were close and they are close to you. In what way?
Let's take the example that you move into a new apartment or a new building or a new house with your partner, and you have to decide where you want to live. And you decide based on where your parents are. So you decide to be close to them. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
If we take the situations that were quite common, I think they are still in some countries and in some families when they live together, not just close, but live together. Well, to me, it's a no.
Yeah, that to me is also a no. I think
Yeah, like 100%.
that's only the case if like it's an extreme emergency and or maybe you're super poor and you cannot afford to live somewhere else, but at that point why get married? But yeah, I think no, that's a no. You need to have your own place with your wife or husband because it's not it's not okay. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But I
but
mean like for example, I'll give you an example in my country. It's quite common that people don't have to live close, but our country is also small. Maybe like, I don't know, by car they are 30 minutes away or 40 minutes or an hour away, but it's a different city. In some countries, you're still in the same city in in 1 hour of traffic. I know people who, still use their parents as babysitters, for example, for their kids, on weekends, or when they are super young and they want to go to work. So that could be an advantage. So some people do that. And also some people really like to see their parents every week or every day or every 2 days, whatever. So some people are very close to their parents, even when they live when they have their own life. So I think it's a tradition that is worth keeping if that's how you are and you can do it. I have experience here in Germany that people don't do this even when they are in the same city. They don't see their parents for 6 months. I know people who
Y-
don't see their parents
Yeah.
for the whole year. They talk to them on the phone once a year and that's it. And that's normal for them. For me, that's crazy. But I live in a different country than my parents. But if I lived in the same country with my parents, I mean, that would be different. I would see them definitely a lot. So yeah,
Yeah. How often do you think?
if I lived there, oh, I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
good question. I have no idea. But also, I think, yeah, with work and everything, at least in the weekend, maybe twice a week, once a week for sure.
Yeah,
Depends
that's
if
how it
I'm not
is for
living
me.
with them, of course. Yeah, exactly. Once a week, I would say. I also wouldn't live with my parents at this age. Whenever I go back home,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I
no,
think
cannot do
this
this.
question, yeah, I think this question it can be even wider when you started talking about grandparents, not just living, but even from the point grandparents. No, should grandparents take care of your children? I mean, not living with them all the time, but even just being involved, like largely involved in their upbringing. And in my country, and also in my family, and in the families of my friends, that's the same. But maybe that's the kind of people I'm friends with. It's a tradition and it's a norm that they're involved and they're always involved. But in my family, they're not involved to the point when they're telling you what you should do and how you should raise your children. Well, they're not like that. Well, actually, when I was born, my grandmothers and my grandfather, they were quite young. And now I understand it completely because my parents are older than my grandparents were when I was born. And now I understand when my mom said, like, your grandmothers, they're not babushkas. They're not all ladies. They're ladies. They're women. And now I realized that they were like 45 at that
Okay,
time.
wow.
Like, of course, they were quite
Wow, they
young and
were
they
very
still
young.
worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's young for a grandma.
eh, yeah, and I know people who are like 40 and their grandmothers. Yeah, and at that time, of course, my grandmothers they worked and but they still wanted to take me for the weekends, like for my because my parents they also very quite young. They were quite young at that time, and they also wanted to have fun, to meet their friends. And my grandparents they didn't feel like they have to take me. They really wanted to take me, and they spent. And I also was the only grandchild at that time. I was the only niece. I was the only daughter. I was the only grandchild. So that's why everyone wanted to
You
take me.
had all the attention. Yeah, same.
Yeah, for one of my mothers for grandmothers for 6 years, and for the other almost for 12 years. I was an only child. Yeah, so in my society and in my country, it's well, they see it as a norm that grandparents they at least they should spend some time together. And we're talking about it with my mom and with my friend's mom, and they say like if you are going to start your family, it would be useful maybe to live closer, so I would help you. But of course, it depends. I don't know where I'm going to be at that time. Like when I was born, my parents they were finishing university. They were very young, and my grandparents they couldn't help that much because they were still working. And my mom had to stay with me all the time. And it was really hard. Of course, it was bearable, but still hard. But when my sister was born, they were over 30. They were 34 and 36, I think. And both of my grandmothers they didn't work at that time, and they were staying at our place like during the whole day. They helped her a lot. And that's why my mom had a lot of time to get back to the normal state, mentally, physically. Yeah, and she had time to also do some chores and everything like that. And I understand that it's an easy way, and it's way easier, at least when you just gave birth, at least at that time. But when children get older, it depends again. Like, I don't know how life will be and who I'm going to marry, so we'll see how it will turn out. But I understand that in at least in Russia it's normal and it's okay. Yeah, and also how people here they're talking like in Europe, older people they are having vacation, they're going to the sea, they're having the time of their life and things like that. And on the other hand, they are not very close with their grandchildren. Of course, not all the time, but in many cases, yeah, because they're having their life. And here, they're usually not having their life because they feel like they should be with their
Yeah.
family most of the
They
time.
have to be exactly. That's a completely. You're 100% right there. That's the difference in I think Western and Eastern cultures, is that in Eastern cultures I think their lives is around their kids. You know, and even the grandparents understand this. The parents understand this, that they put the kids first. While in I think in the West nowadays, it's yourself first and then it's the kids. So if you need to go on vacation, you go on vacation and you find a babysitter or you find someone for the kids. While my parents would never do that. They would just not go on vacation for 20 years because I was there, because they need to
Mhm.
take care of me. Yeah. So
But
that's the difference.
I think nowadays everyone
It
just
might have
takes
changed a bit.
takes the children. I think.
Yeah, you can also just take your children with you, but yeah, maybe it was a bit different. Taking your partner's last name, what do you think about that one?
Well, in Russia, it's a very strong tradition, I would say, and it's still alive, pretty much alive. Of course, not as much as it used to be maybe 10, 20 years ago. But as for me, I'm sorry, she's interrupting again. Wants
No
a
worries.
little more attention.
For audio
So,
listeners, we have a cat. Paulina's
yeah,
cat is
we
joining us.
always have this cat here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh my God.
No worries.
Okay, as I was saying about the last name, from what I've noticed, women most of the time they take their partner's last name. Usually, when it's their first marriage. When it's their
Okay.
second marriage, of course, it's a pain and it's really difficult changing all the document. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Changing,
She wants to be in
changing.
the in the
Yeah,
call, all
she
the
wants to be
documents. Yeah.
here, and she always wants to be somewhere near. Yeah, so it's really difficult changing all the documents. Not so difficult because you can do everything online nowadays, but still, it takes time. I like changing the driving license and the passport and the passport for traveling. Yeah, we have two here. And things like that, yeah. And of course, and I see a lot of examples when girls my age, they change all the documents, get a divorce in 2 years, and change everything back. It's usually like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
but
that
when it,
that to me is just no. If you're unsure, I think you shouldn't change your name. You might divorce that person.
yeah, but
Just don't get married. I don't know.
how are you
How do
sure
you
that you're
know?
not you're going to divorce this
I think
person?
this is what we will get into. Maybe I hope we get into this today, because that's part of I think what's different in certain cultures and certain traditions is that you can move in together a bit earlier. Spend more time with this person. You will understand if that's the right person or not, I think. But yeah.
I'm just at this point of life when my friends they get married and we are getting to the first divorces here. Yeah, and like these are the people who dated since they were 18 and now they're getting their divorces at 25 and above.
Maybe that's just part of Russian culture nowadays. I hear a lot about people from
About
Russia
getting
getting
divorces.
divorced very early.
I think again, I think I talked about that before in our other episodes, but I think the reason why we have so many divorces, and if you check the statistics, it's not just our country, it's usually the East Slavic
Eastern countries.
countries.
Yeah.
East Slavic countries, not just, yeah. East Slavic countries. So you see the top three countries, like the countries you can name without thinking, and the top five countries, like a few more from ex Soviet countries. And the reason why it's like that is because we have a tradition of getting married quite
Early.
soon. Yeah, and early and soon. Yeah. So the reason why we have so many divorces is because we have so many marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's the
this is
main
exactly what I
reason.
was saying before. Like you can, yeah, people just get, if you get married at 20, there's a higher chance that you divorce than if you are married at 30. That's in every country in the world. So yeah, that could be the case.
Yeah, but I thought
Right.
that it's
I think we
because
can, yeah,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, but I thought that that's because also in Italy, for example, because I know such examples, they can live together for 10 years. They can even have children together, but they're not married. Like in Russia, it's not very common. And of course, they can just break up and it wouldn't be
yeah,
registered in the
yeah, it's
statistics.
exactly. It's quite common also here in Germany. I have no people who are having kids together and they're not even married. To me, I wouldn't do that. It's not part of my culture.
Because
It
you're
is.
not
It
a
is.
real German.
I'm not German at all. There's nothing German about me.
No, just
Cool.
small bits. No, I wanted to
Some
say
habits.
about the last name. I wanted to say that just because we changed the topics because there's so much to say about that. About the last name, I personally really wish to change my last name. Really,
Okay.
just because I don't like it, and I didn't like it since I was 5. I remember I had that realization. I was coming from the kindergarten with my mother, and I said, why do we have this last name? I don't like it so much. It just doesn't fit me, doesn't fit me, doesn't fit my name, doesn't fit. I'm sorry, but
Okay. Okay.
I mean, none of my relatives they speak English, so I think I can say that, but I really don't like my last name, and hopefully, I will have another last name in this lifetime, and it won't be worse.
Soon.
Yeah, let's say
The
soon, but
sooner the better.
yeah, the sooner the better, and but I'm okay with just being in this lifetime.
Yeah.
That's
No,
good
for me,
enough for me.
as a man, I don't care, to be honest. I know some people really want it. I like my last name. I am not changing mine. Also, here's something in Germany that is I've seen multiple times is that the men change their last name to the woman's
Really?
name, which is not. Yeah, this is quite common, and I've seen it many times in my even at my work. There's many men that have done that. Some of them don't like it. Some of them for other reasons. I don't know, but I would not.
Yeah,
I like my last name. It also has historical and cultural value to me and to my country. So it's something that I'm proud of. I will not get rid of my last name. So if the other person wants to take it, that's great. If not, then it is what it is.
yeah, but what's the point of taking your wife's last name? I mean, here in Russia, taking your husband's last name is just like tradition. Yeah, but as for women's, like, what are the advantages? I mean, you can just live under
I don't
two
know.
last names.
Reversing the tradition. I don't. I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
Some of them don't like it, like you. Like
Ah,
you,
okay.
they just don't like their last name, and they're like, "Well, I'm a guy, and I can just change it to the girls." So that's what they do.
Okay.
And maybe it's
Interesting.
like to keep the name alive somehow, because maybe if the wife doesn't have any brothers, then the name will die at some point.
Yeah, I
So
understand
the
why
man,
wife. Yeah, I understand why the wife doesn't want to change the last name, but why the husband, like he doesn't want his last name to leave.
maybe he
Okay.
wanted to die. Yeah. So let's move on to our
Okay.
main topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically,
Sure.
the main topic is when love meets culture. So I think culture is always, our in our lives every day without us feeling it. This is what we live, what we do, our history, our religion, our habits, our society impacts us every day without us knowing it. But also we inherit things from them that we never question. Why is this like this? And sometimes we just do it because this is how it's always been done. But it doesn't always mean that it's right. What do you think about that?
Oh, sorry, I was just listening to you, and I didn't know that you would ask me.
This is a podcast, Paulina. We both
I
have to
know, but
talk.
I was listening to the podcast because I
Sorry,
was
sorry.
speaking so much
You're
before.
watching the podcast from outside your body.
Yeah, like I was so involved before. That's why I was outside for a
I
moment.
should have continued. I just should have finished on my own.
Yeah, maybe because it's so hot. I'm just losing track of everything. Okay, okay. Tell me your opinion about that then. Let's start with that.
About what? Sorry, about this? I think, yeah, I think this This is true. We do
But
carry a lot our history and our culture and our traditions with us. And I don't always think that they are correct. I mean, there is a reason why it's like this, but also the world has changed. We are in 2026 now. Not everything has to be the same as our parents, and not everything has to be the same as our grandparents, etc., etc. If we still lived like our grandparents, we wouldn't be doing many things right now. So traditions change, people change, society change, and I think we should adapt to it. In general, a question to you now. Are you ready? Okay. Hopefully you are. How
Mhm.
much influence in general should a family have over who we date? Let's not take now your family, but in general, what do you think about that?
I think all the influence that matters is the influence you have from your upbringing. I think, and I think I have it too. Yeah, I would say that my family shouldn't have any influence on who I choose to date, to marry. But of course, they have it, but it's just not evident. Like some things that I was
Yeah, it's not
told.
direct.
Yeah, I think in that way, it's not like they should have some influence. It's they have an influence on that, but having a direct influence, I don't think that they should have it. Yeah, because I'm old enough. Yeah, of course, if I was 16 getting married, then probably yes, but I'm 10 years older
That's fair enough,
than
and I
that.
and I think I agree there. I think in general, you know, family should guide you and tell you, you know what, this is who the right person, like help you. If they see that the person is not right for you, they should tell you. As you said before, if you're dating someone who's maybe, a drug addict or an alcoholic, but
Criminal,
you're like,
yeah.
oh no, but I love them. Yeah. But I love them. But you know what? Like they should tell you, this might not be the right person for you. So they should guide you to the right way. But at the same time, it's always going to be your choice. If you're an adult, as you said, hopefully you're not marrying at 16. Please don't do that. But yeah, let's move on to the next question. Do you think two people from different cultures can make it work?
I think they can make it work if they try hard, but it depends on how different their cultures are. Because now, again, let's even take Russia and a person from some European country. Yeah, they will be different, but they won't be radically different, I think. And they would be able to agree in a lot of things. Of course, they would see some of their differences. Maybe they wouldn't even see them when they are just dating, but when they have kids, something
Hmm.
like that, of course, they will see some differences. Yeah, but when they have very different cultures and also very different religions, it would be more difficult. But I think it's still possible to work it out, but it would take more effort from them. That's what I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
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 I
What do you
also, I
think?
also agree. I also agree there. I agree because this is exactly what I think. I mean, if it's close enough and if it's compatible as two cultures together, they can make it work. On the other side, if it's like, as you said, two cultures would have completely different expectations of the roles of people in society or what they should do or what they shouldn't do. And as you said, maybe two opposing, not opposing, but two very different religions, or maybe the people are very religious, then you have to marry within your culture or you have to be with someone within your culture, then it doesn't work. So yeah, I completely agree there. Yeah, that's basically it. But maybe to touch a bit on religion itself, how much do you think religion should have as an influence on relationships?
Mm, really depends on the person. As much as you want it to, I think really
Okay.
because in any religion, I wanted to say like it depends on your religion, but really it doesn't. It depends on your attitude to it, and it may have a lot of influence, but the same as your culture and your traditions, the same as your family traditions, they all can have an influence to some extent, or they may not have any influence at all. Like you choose it, and
Yeah, I think also there sometimes different religions could be compatible to a certain extent, and sometimes it's not. I think I've seen like mixed religion couples. Maybe if you're not too religious, that doesn't matter. I think if you are very religious, both of you, then it will be difficult for you to align your religion with the other person's religion because there's always the question, what what religion do the kids have? Like if I'm Muslim and the other person is Christian, or if I'm Christian and the other person is Muslim, how does that work? Because then the kids, will they be which one? We're just talking about the two big ones here, but there's millions of religions around the world. And how does it work, right? So that's always the question. If you're not religious, but your parents are, or your family is, or your society is, then maybe you can just make it work as it is. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you should have some expectations about your partner's religion and about his or her traditions. Usually his traditions. Let's be honest here. Yeah, and if a woman she doesn't really care about religion, doesn't really care about the culture, but if she's marrying a very religious person, she shouldn't like she's marrying his religion too. She can't avoid it, and she should understand that as you were saying about the children, like she can't say like they're not go our children are not going to be not going to go through some religious rituals or something like that, and she should understand that she can't do that if she married a very religious person. Like you should understand some things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's clarify it.
But you said something that's interesting to me. You said, of course, it's the man then that gets to decide, or
Yeah, I think because, well, at least maybe in Russia here, again, that's a very controversial topic saying that, but religion and just being Christian, it's from what I see in people, it's mostly evident not in religious rituals and traditions, it's mostly like culture. Like a person, if you ask any Russian, they would, and if you ask them, "Are you religious?" They would most likely they will say that they are, and they are Orthodox
no?
Christian.
They are okay.
Most likely, yeah. But does it mean that they go to the church? Does it mean that they go to the church at least on Christmas or on Easter? Most likely, no. So it's like
Maybe, maybe. Okay.
most likely, at least my peers. I also, of course, yeah. We keep forgetting why we don't have it that strong here because just my grandparents they were growing up and they were brought in Soviet society. Of course, they couldn't be religious
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all,
yeah, yeah.
and then out of a sudden they should be very
Exactly,
religious. Of course, it's
exactly, exactly.
it's like that's probably also the reason why people they just got used to a new reality and they adapted to it, but it's a bit different like it is in other countries. And yeah, why I said that, because as I said, yeah, if you are religious, but mostly when it comes to just your culture, but not because you follow all the traditions and all the rituals, it wouldn't be so important to you for your child to be of the same religion. But if your husband is very religious, it would be very important to him.
Be the opposite as well, right? If the guy is not religious and the woman is very religious, then the very religious person will push for the kids to be religious, right?
Maybe I've never seen it. Yeah, but just I've seen the examples, and I even have it in my family when
No, I
a
don't know.
woman
In my
married.
experience, I think that yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a relative who married a Muslim, and both of their daughters they're Muslims, and it was out of the question. Like it's out of discussions because it's just obvious, and everyone understands that. Something like that. And I'm wondering maybe because again, as I said, the religion is just
I
part of
think
our
that's
culture.
specific. That I think that's specific. It's in my opinion. I think it could be any person. I think if you are, as I said, if you are more religious, then of course you want your kids to be more religious like you. But if you're not religious, you don't maybe care. Unless you are anti-religion, then yeah, of course you don't marry someone who's religious. So it's if you really don't care, so you will let your partner, whether it's the man or the woman, do whatever they want. But if you do
But
care,
maybe,
then you know you will have a say. And in my experience, the women care more about religion than men. So in my experience, I've seen that women can influence this more than men.
yeah, maybe because why I said that is because also part of that is not because the man is religious or not. It's because there is a patriarchal. How do you call? I hate this word because it's so hard to
Patriarchal, yeah,
pronounce. Yeah, because of that,
patriarchal,
I
yes.
think. Yeah, like if the woman is very religious and the man doesn't want children to be in that, they probably wouldn't because of that aspect, I think. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I
Okay.
forget about.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. Then let's move on to our next segment, which is the hot take, so the culture edition of the hot takes. So I'll give say a hot take, and you give me your reaction about this. Okay, and then we do a small debate. So, hot take number one: family approval matters more than love.
No, of course not. I think we discussed that a bit.
Yeah,
That it
yeah.
may matter,
Just
but
wanted to
it's
clarify.
not. Yeah,
No,
it's not your top priority. Definitely.
no. I would think we agree there. Intercultural relationships are harder but stronger.
Mm, I think it's not necessarily like that. They may be not harder, they may be stronger or not. It depends on people. If they want to agree on things, if they discuss some of the very crucial
I
moments,
think it's always going to be harder. From my experience, at
again,
least, it's always harder, or not always, but it's harder. I think. It also depends how you were growing up in your own culture, and also what you have in common with that person. Maybe you have more in common with that person that you have with someone from your own culture. But always defaulting to your own language, defaulting to giving examples, telling them things that they understand what it's about, and how you think and how you see the world is, I think that's easier with someone from your own culture. Is it stronger on the other side? Not always, as you said.
why I said not always harder, because as you said about the language, but if you have a language you both speak, and if your cultures aren't that
Yeah.
different,
Then,
let's say
yeah.
I was thinking about that, like ex-Soviet countries, and there are
Yeah.
some countries that have different religions, very different cultures, and it would be called intercultural relationship. But they probably have a common Russian language, and for their families, of course, I also think it wouldn't be a problem to interact. So would it be harder? I don't think
Yeah.
it would
Fair
be.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. This one, I think we touched on it a bit, but I really want your opinion. Traditional gender roles still work,
But I think it depends on the couple. Like, do they work
in your
here?
opinion.
I think they do. In my opinion, would they work in my relationship? Yes, they would. But should they work in every single couple for them to work to live? No, it's not like that. Yeah. But I think it's in some way it can be easier when you know what you let's say should do, and what what people accept, what expectations people have of you. Maybe in some way it can be easier, but in some way it's also like limitations
I
maybe.
would like
So it
to also
depends.
understand how you view this, because it would be interesting to me. Maybe one time we can do another episode on this, where you guide us through how you view these gender roles. We don't have to go through it now. Let's keep it on the side, but maybe another time we can dive deeper into these.
Okay,
Next one,
but it depends. Like
you should marry.
I- yeah, as I said, it also depends on the family. Like in some families, these gender roles they're very strong. In some families, they are not non-existent. So
Yeah.
just be
Okay.
prepared.
Yeah, exactly. This is of course it depends on every person, every family. That's the whole point. My I was interested in seeing how you view this as someone, you still work, you still earn your own money, you live alone. So I would like to understand from someone who does that, how would you put that into effect when or if you get married? And yeah.
Mhm.
So speaking of marriage, you should marry someone who shares your values, but not necessarily your culture.
Yeah, I think 100%. That's true. That and these are the most important thing that you should have the same values before you get married. You should discuss some of the things. Of course, you can't discuss everything, and of course, people they change over time and when they get older. But still, like some very important things, they should be the same.
Agreed. And the last one, sometimes our parents know better than we do.
Mm, maybe and depends. Like I disagree with that now, but I have a feeling that maybe when I will be their age, I will agree on some things and I will understand why they said some of the things that they said before to me. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, they know a lot, but not necessarily, don't know a lot about who we truly are inside. Our parents see us maybe still as the little kids that they have to protect, and they also don't live with our partners. They don't live with our husbands and wives. They don't know how they act. They can see also only what the other person shows them. So I don't think they can judge as objectively, but at least they are maybe a bit more objective than us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah,
even
and
more subjective.
they also lived in another world. That's what I keep saying. Like the times were different, and
Yeah,
they had to
yeah, yeah.
go through different problems. Of course, some things were the same, but some they were different, I think.
That's true. That's cool. Then let's move on to our fourth segment, the listener corner. And we've got a listener story. So, first one is, I've been dating my girlfriend for 3 years. My parents want me to marry someone from our culture. They like her, but they don't see her as one of us. I love my family, but I love her too. So, our question is, what should they do now? Or what's our take here? Maybe you want to kick us off?
Yeah, of course, I can judge from my perspective because if it was my story, but of course, it can't be my story. It is impossible. But of course, in my situation, and if I was younger, I would say, like, do whatever you want, date whoever you want. But I also understand that some people, of course, they come from very strict cultures, strict societies where they live with their parents and where they live with their parents after they get married, and it's like a tradition. And in that case, it would be very hard for them to live and to exist on the same territory. But if they, even if they come from a very traditional society, but they don't live together and they don't live in the same city, maybe even not in the same country, then I think that they should live their own life.
Yeah. I I think here this is quite tricky. As you said, in some cultures, if you don't have your parents' permission, you cannot, you shouldn't be with someone. And in some cultures, honestly speaking, you don't care what your parents say. At the end of the day, if you're an adult and you want to be with that person for the rest of your life, you should be able to take that decision. Your parents can and tell you, as I said before, okay, this person is not right for you, but there should be a reason why. If it's only because of the culture they cannot understand, maybe you're okay with that person, and maybe you can show that, hey, that person is not so different from us just because you think they are from a different culture. And you can bring that to their attention, try to, you know, show that person wearing traditional clothes, doing traditional things. I don't know, something that shows your parents that, hey, that person accepts our culture, but at the same time, they still have their own. And I think that you can bring those two worlds together. Um, but my opinion would be, try to do that before you give up on this person. Like, if you really love her, then don't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have a second listener story, which I think you will have a good input on this one. My boyfriend says tradition means the man provides and the woman takes care of the home. So I have a career that I love. He says I'm becoming too modern. What should I do? Too modern.
Yeah, and like in his opinion, if he provides, then she only takes care of the home. Yeah, that's what I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll have to agree on that and have
Oh,
to, I don't
wow.
know, maybe because, yeah, and what do you think is the right advice here?
I would say I wouldn't agree because that's not who I am. In my opinion, I think people can do both. I can be a parent and I can work. I can be a father and I can work. I can be a mother and I can work. Having a career does not mean you cannot take care of your house, take care of your home, take care of your kids. I do that now. I will continue to do that. It will change. Like, and who does it more in certain things, that's different, and who is more caring and who is more attentive, that also is personality based, not just gender based. But of course, I cannot give birth. I cannot, certain things I cannot do as a man, so that's normal. But in my opinion, there should be an agreement. Like if you want to work and if that person doesn't want you to work, there should be an agreement whether you prefer to work or prefer to stay with that person. That's a very tough one. I would say, to be honest, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and
I
I
disagree
said
with you here.
almost the same. I said that they should agree on things and they should discuss that. Like it's if it's very and I think they also should have some agreement on if they want to have children, how many and when, because if his role if in his opinion is just like I provide, you are at home, and she wants to work still, in that way, if they don't have children, they can agree on that, like they both work, but they maybe, I don't know when she should take care of the home alone because it's impossible. Yeah, but if they have children, well, I don't know, that then they should have both. Should have agree on that, because in that way they won't be able to break up that easily. It would be more difficult for them, and it
Yeah,
would
no,
be
I think
better
this
to
is.
discuss before.
I think I'm also having a different opinion here because we are in 2026 now. I don't think most places in the world you cannot have a family with just one income. Maybe you can, great for you, but usually you can't. And at the same time, I understand that when you give birth, you have to take care of the kid, of course, and you have to stay with them. And there's maternity leave in many countries, which is 2 or 3. You can take up to 2 or 3 years, but also the man can take up to a few years with the kids, and I think that he should. So, in my opinion, it's not like our grandparents, where it was just the woman taking care of everything and the man goes to work the next day. It's different nowadays. I think both should take care of the kids. Both should be participating in the house. So to me, the whole question doesn't make sense because I wouldn't agree with the premise of the question, and this is why I think at some point we will have to do a full episode on this.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
to me,
again,
I don't.
I'm not against someone deciding that they don't want to work, and if I can afford to have my wife not work, that would be great. But I'm not sure because I don't know with kids and everything. Will that work? Maybe, maybe not. Then you're relying on the government. You're relying on money from your parents. I don't know. Someone giving you free stuff. Like it's gonna be a tough life. Yeah.
I think it's also connected with the question we had before in other episodes, that if she really loves her career, then maybe she's ambitious. And if he doesn't want to have an ambitious woman, he shouldn't date one. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
both ways too. That's why I'm
100%.
saying, like,
100%.
decide that before you start getting
100%.
married or
100%.
starting a family. Yeah,
100.
and it actually can be both. Even in the traditional society, I know the opposite examples also. So, like, talk about that before it gets too serious. Yeah.
Cool. So our last segment is some final words from both of us. So let's talk maybe about one tradition or one thing from a culture we would like to keep and one thing we would like to change. What is one thing you would like to keep?
No, you start first. I'll think a bit more.
Okay.
Because when I talk without thinking, it's usually not something I wanted to say.
I want to avoid the very cliche stuff because everyone says, "Oh," like I think a lot of tradition, a lot of cultures have this thing where it's like, okay, you're close to your family, you're close to your people, you talk a lot. I think this is quite common. At least that's how I see it. There's a lot of cultures who have this, except in the West, maybe they don't have this so much. But I think in the East and in a lot of maybe Latin countries, they have this as well because they took it from those countries where it's like, okay, it's quite common to be close to your parents. So maybe that's not something I want to focus on. I think in general, I having this taking your parents' advice, but not necessarily following into their footsteps. I think listening to what they have to say, but always saying, okay, you know what, I will decide. I accept your advice. I listen to you. I share with you what I feel, what I think, and I will listen to what you say, but I will not take this as a final decision. I will not take what you say as what I should do, but just having this where you are close to your parents in the sense that you value them as like as a bit of a friend, let's say.
Hmm. Yeah, but you said about taking advice. So is it like a common tradition from where you are from? Like
I
if
think
it's
I
not a
think
tradition, you don't
it's
you
common
want
that
to
you, as
avoid.
I said, that you yeah, I think it's common that you listen to, you listen to your parents, like you still do what your parents say. But I think if you're an adult, you have your own life. So you should be able to separate this. So this is kind of something that I'm trying to update at the same time as keeping. So it's a two in one, where it's like, you know what, I will listen to what you have to say. I will take your opinion into account, but I will not do exactly what you think is the best just because you say that it's the best. Because
Yeah.
as you said, they have lived in a different time. They are not living my life. At the end of the day, I will have to decide. But it's, I think, valuable and a good thing is to have this close relationship with your parents, but not too close that all you're doing is making your parents happy and then you live a miserable life.
Yeah, I agree. And since I had more time to think, now I know what I want to say and the things. And I don't know if it's really a tradition. Maybe, as you said, like advice and things that just that are common and that we have, and the things that I would like to keep and to have in my family in the future. I really want to be and to have a close relationship with my family. Hopefully, it will be possible to have with my partner's family as well. And hopefully, it will be like all families. They're talking to each other. They can be together in the same space, not like once in 10 years, and it will be possible. But of course, there are situations when you live in different countries. Of course, it makes it more difficult. Yeah, but hopefully, and also when I have children, hopefully they will be able to spend a lot of time with their grandparents from both sides. And if I have the situation when we have, I don't know, two languages in the family, like my partner's language is something else. Hopefully the children and I would really push them to learn both languages, like my language, my partner's language, and if we live in another country, then the third language. Like it would be very important to spend time with both grandparents, things like that, with both families. But what I wanted to say and what I was thinking about a lot in my life, it's like a tradition that I would like to give up. Let's say that we're talking about that a lot, but and I said a lot about that. But I really wish to have a family where both parents are involved in parenting. Also, because as you said, both work, so it doesn't make sense. Why would only one person would be involved in? I mean, in emotional upbringing, also not just being together, but just I really wish to have a situation when I and my partner, we know who our child is friends with, what are their interests, and things like that. So it wouldn't be like, which is really common here
Okay,
when
I
only
didn't expect
a
it because
mother,
you said you are more
and
into
it's
the
in the best.
traditional.
Yeah, but still, if I'm going to work too, why would I be the only one who's who's taking care of children? And I said
Yeah,
it
yeah,
many
no,
times
I
before that
completely agree. I
I
completely
really,
agree.
yeah, I'm going to work anyway. Hopefully, I'm not going to work like as I said also in the first and the second or in the second episode. Hopefully, I won't have the situation where I'll have to work all the time just because I have to provide everyone. Yeah, not in that situation where I work, but maybe it's possible not to work, but I want to work because I like my career. Let's call it like that. Yeah, but both are involved. That's something that was growing in my head for years. Let's say that. Yeah.
That's fair. I think that's a good idea. Both parents should be involved. You should know who your who your kids are what your kids are doing. It cannot be just the mom. Yeah, that's very fair and makes a lot of sense. Cool. I think we're at the end of our podcast for today. So thank you again, Paulina, for joining us and joining me. For everyone listening, thank you for listening to us. I hope this was a good episode for you, as it was for us. And we still have a lot to talk about, and we will do so in the future. Please let us know in the comments and DMs if these traditions, do you agree with them? Do you agree with what we said? Do you prefer, a tradition over love? Do you think culture is more important than anything else? Please let us know what you think. And thank you for listening to us again.
Yeah, yeah. Don't leave any hate comments.
Please do leave any type of comment. Any publicity is good publicity.
No, I'm too sensitive for
Thank
that.
you.
And you're all lucky. You're all lucky that I'm not the one who's answering to your replies. I wouldn't be so friendly as Johnny is.
Cool. Thank you all,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a good have a good rest of the day. Thanks, Paulina. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.